And we're coming back to you live from this dark closet. I'm Sean.
Zach.
I was gonna mention how it's kind of awkward. Like, I mean, we mentioned it before, but it's just like awkward, like how small this space is when we have to record inside, and now the lights don't work.
Yeah.
So it's just like compounded today. Yeah, so we're in the dark
To get some insight, we're back in the,
recording booth
yeah.
or whatever.
I think, what did it say? It was
Practice
like a piano
room.
room or
Yeah,
something out there.
like that.
Anyway, no piano in here, but
Otherwise, Zach would be jamming.
I would.
You're like bang, 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 bang. Just like a monkey with just stump hands, just like slamming.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the lights don't work. They're doing like
Just like in
some
my
sort
heart.
of electrical stuff over there. Oh. Oh.
The lights don't
We're
work.
already going there. Okay.
It's gonna be one of those episodes. They've never worked in my heart. If someone could just connect the wires. I'm just looking for that connection.
That was terrible, but so good at the
I
same
know.
time.
I didn't realize I was gonna get that good.
I approve.
Thanks, man. All right, so spooky episode because Halloween will be tomorrow for you guys. Ooh, spooky, scary skeleton. Anyway, we had that bit too many times.
But it's Halloween now.
Oh, you're right. Spooky, scary skeleton. I'm sold. Zero convincing.
To go off on the Halloween thing before we get started.
Yeah.
I was just in English, and she was saying, she's like, I feel like we've been celebrating Halloween for like 2 months now, but we still got a few more days to go.
We basically celebrate Halloween year round because we just watch scary video or movies like always. So.
It's true.
I mean, like that's my boss was like, "Hey, this is like your month, Sean, right? You like Halloween?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's just like the rest of the year."
Guess.
It's the same. But okay, so about a week ago, that was an accident. But about a week ago, I watched a TED Talk because I'm a smarty. I feel like saying the words "I watched a TED Talk" is just like it automatically just people are like, "Oh man, this fetching guy."
And you go.
But I watched a TED Talk. I think I'll link it in the description. Sean, do that. But it's about this guy got up and he was talking about psychopaths. Fetch, I didn't do the research I meant to. Anyways, I was actually doing homework today. How dare
you be productive? How dare you?
So he started out with talking about he was at like a friend's house or something and he saw a book there which is called the DSM-5, which is literally the book with all of the medically acknowledged psychological disorders. Okay. When that book first came out, it was like a pamphlet. Okay, it was like nothing.
Is it huge now?
There are over 800 recognized psychological disorders.
Oh my gosh.
800. Okay, it's like he's flipping through. He's like, flipping through, like just casually, I found 4 that could apply to me. Like, I mean, you can't diagnose yourself, but like, still, that's crazy. So he wanted to talk about like psychology, and this is interesting to me because obviously I'm thinking about going to psychology, and he was talking about like how real it is almost. So what he did is he wanted to talk to someone who just does not believe in psychology at all. It's not a science, it's fake.
Okay.
So he went to a Scientologist who, I didn't know this, but apparently they don't believe in psychology in the slightest. And he said, what do you have proof that psychology isn't real? And he's like, yeah, I can introduce you to him. His name is Tony. So Tony was in like an asylum essentially. I think this guy's in London. He sounded British.
Must have been.
He's somewhere in there. And like, so he goes to this asylum. It's like a very well-known one for just actual like serial killers, like people who are really deep, like real far. So he goes in there and he says like, he gets in there and it's just like a very like cozy kind of feel like an asylum would be. And everyone's walking around in like robes and slippers and that crap. He's waiting, and then this guy comes out in a pinstripe suit and walks up to him. and that's Tony. So Tony, his story was basically he was going to jail for fighting or something. I can't remember. It was something like not huge. But the guy who was like in the holding cell with him was like, hey, if you fake insanity, then you're just going to go to like some cushy place and you'll play Xbox all day. It'll be great. And so he faked insanity too well.
Oh,
I think his original jail sentence was going to be like 5 years. He had been in the asylum for 12. And so like he's talking to Tony and Tony's like, yeah, I'm trying to convince them I'm not insane, but how do you do that? Oh, spooky. I don't know if they heard that.
The timing too. Why are you finish your sentence?
Oh gosh.
Okay.
Oh no. Anything?
Continue.
Okay, so he's stop doing that, you're scaring me. So the reason he's wearing like a pinstripe suit is he's like, I want to convey like confidence and like I know what I'm doing. And then he likes to like stay in his room because everyone else around him is a serial killer.
Right.
But like to the people in the prison, they're like, oh, he wears a suit because he's like cocky, you know, like it's a sign of kind of being crazy. Or he stays in his room, he's a recluse because he doesn't want to hang out with serial killers. So then he goes to the guy in charge of the facility. And he says, okay, so you know Tony faked his way in here? And he's like, yeah, we know that. They're like, okay, so why is he still here? He says, he is a psychopath. And so there's like a list, and this is like true narcissistic psychopaths. There's like a list with like criteria on it that like you check off. And he was meeting them. Just the very act of faking his way in there. Like, that's manipulation. Okay, so like it went on like that, and he also like I won't talk about the whole thing. You can go and watch the video yourself, but that's like the basics of it.
I'm so curious. Though.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. So this is actually one of like the biggest reasons I realized after explaining this whole thing to my brother that I kind of want to go into psychology, because I feel like a lot of the other sciences I get bored with, because it's just like you do A and B automatically happens, which is cool, like explosions and crap like that. It's fun. But like people just don't make sense.
The unknown's more interesting.
And so we have like this psychopath. I don't know even to put him in air quotes or not. I'm not sure. Because he's claiming he's not, but wouldn't a psychopath claim that he's not a psychopath? Like, the thing about psychology is you can observe the behavior, but you can't actually like go into the brain and figure out what is true and not. So like even with something as basic as like depression, like how can you legitimately diagnose that? Because I feel like even people with depression a lot of times act happy around people who they know they should be happy with. Right.
It's like I was talking to Anna about, because we had just played Doki Doki Literature Club.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Sayori, and when you find out that she had like depression or whatever, I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I was, but Anna was like, oh yeah, I guess that, because she went into how like the people who seem the happiest can oftentimes be. I didn't realize
it, I didn't guess it, but yeah, I was totally like, oh, like as she was saying the words and like all the things she was saying, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. So like, yeah, that's the interesting thing about psychology. And this kind of goes also into, I mean, I don't know. I don't know which way we're going to go with this. It also like kind of goes into the movie we watched.
Oh yeah. I was going to bring that up actually.
Yeah. But like, so yeah, I mean, I'm just throwing this idea out there. Like, how real and falsifiable and scientific is psychology? It's kind of a deep one.
Man, that's so hard to answer.
I know.
And I feel like I don't have a good enough understanding to even give a
Well, that's
answer.
That's everything we talk about in Spicy Nuggs. So I want you to.
True. All right. So let me delve deep into here. I am a natural on this.
Basically,
subject.
I've been talking too much this episode, and you need to speak, man.
Dude, I've just been deep in thought. I'm like, you were drawing me in, man. I don't know. I feel like the science behind psychology. I feel like with psychology, a lot of it is like there's no like you were saying, there's no A equals B, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of, I don't want to say guesswork,
but
it's like there's like the guess. It's just like a lot of observation, and then like depending on like the observations you made, it's like
there's
what's best, right? There's no like
you
this is always going to be the answer.
Yeah, you observe behavior, but it's just like trends in a group, and it's never like the complete.
And no two answers to something's going to be the same in psychology because people are different.
Yeah.
Like you could have two people with the same like disorder, say they have depression, but they'll both combat those in different ways. And so you can't be like, okay, this person has depression, so let's do this.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be different for each people. Yes, it might be some things that just help overall, like I don't know, talking with somebody, like making sure you're in like a comfortable place or whatever. But like you can't be like, this is always going to work.
It's not like what is what's a good example? It's not like you get sick and you take the medicine and it goes away after a couple days. It's not like that. Because even like this is if I do continue to pursue psychology, which I think I will, but like if I do, I wouldn't go as far as becoming a psychiatrist. I might become like a counselor or a therapist, but not a psychiatrist because they can prescribe medicine. Therapists cannot. And I wouldn't want to be able to really do that, to be honest.
Make that choice.
Yeah, because like for one person, those pills for their depression help a lot. For another person, it makes it worse. Mm-hmm. It's just like, how would you even know? So,
I went to a lecture during like Ethics Awareness Week, and oh man, I wish I could remember his name. I have it in my notes somewhere. Maybe I'll look it up and put it in the description or something.
Yeah.
But it was fascinating because I went to this because I'm like, oh man, I have to have X amount of hours for my philosophy class.
Right.
Of just engagement on a campus. And so I went in there, just get the hours over with, right, whatever. But I only had to write a paragraph of like what it was about. I took 3 pages of notes from this guy. Boy. He was fascinating. And he was talking about how, say like, pills that were like, can be used for one thing, and they're like, oh, it has this effect on these people, let's use it for something else. And it's just like guesswork. Let's see if it works, right? And so he talked about how pills that could be used for people with insanity or something, and they see that it helps them calm them down. Like, okay, well, it relaxes them. So let's give it to somebody who has depression or something, and to see, and so,
just like the experimental nature of just like basically just
it's like, well, it did this to this person.
Yeah, so let's see if it'll do it again.
Let's use it to like help with anxiety.
And since that's like it was an ethics lecture, like obviously he was getting into like, is it ethical to be using people as test subjects and things like that, or
he was more, his whole thing was like, we shouldn't rely on our first reaction shouldn't be to reach for a pill.
Okay, yeah.
And he even said, pills can be great.
Right.
Like, if you need them, take them. He's like, but they should never be, like, the first thing you go to. And then he went into how, like, he, with his kids, he would just give them sugar pills.
Right.
And they would get better because they thought they were getting better. And how that, what is that called?
Placebo.
Thank you, placebo.
I always forget that.
And he was talking about how the placebo effect can be stronger than a pill can be. And then he showed us this experiment that they did where it showed that they gave people with depression just a sugar pill,
Mm-hmm.
and then they give the other people a like an actual antidepressant, and the people with just the sugar pill did better than the people with the antidepressant. I thought that was fascinating.
Okay. I have like 6 different ways I want to go with this.
Go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, placebos, very interesting. It goes into the movie we watched,
It does.
Split. So the whole point of that movie was, and just the very basic of it, this guy has 23 personalities, and 2 of the personalities are kind of taking over and causing him to kidnap girls and stuff. That's the basic of it.
And they almost create a 24th.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the big thing is like the 24th personality is like the beast, they call it, and it's more like animal than man, and they say it has like skin like a rhino, and it can climb walls just by getting the smallest little, and at the end of the movie he actually does that. He adopts that personality and is able to climb on the walls and gets shot point blank by a shotgun twice, and is fine. I mean, hurt, but fine.
I was like, fine.
But I mean, he survives
a
point blank shot with a shotgun, which is crazy. And so, like, the whole point of the movie was like, how much can your mind like
the power of the mind? Right?
Yeah, the power of the mind. So, like the placebo, I'm taking this pill, it will make me better. Your mind is telling yourself that. The placebo does nothing. It's just your mind being like, I will now get better, and I will, and they get better. So, like. How far can you take that, I guess? I also watched, and I'll put this in the description as well, it was Vsauce. I watched a video, I think it was last night that I watched it. It was about, what do you call them? Just basically people with special minds. And it was a case, he showed a case study with this blind autistic man in England who, he has this interesting kind of disorder where if you ask him a question, he will just repeat basically back what was said to him over and over and over again, just to make sense of it in his mind. So he has great like understanding, but like for him to understand, he just repeats it. So his communication skills are very low, but he is what they call a savant on the piano. Like he has perfect pitch, like perfect everything. They just played random notes. He could copy it automatically, like no thought, just bling. It was crazy. And they said, and the theory is that's because he was blind and because of his lack of ability to communicate due to the autism, his brain made up for it in other ways.
Okay.
Through the piano. So, like, he could communicate better through music. Which is just, like... so, like, the brain, like... I don't know, how much power is there? Like, it's crazy.
I think, like, people say that we use like a very small percentage of our brain anyways. And so it's like I haven't done any research, but
let's put on our like we know everything ties.
We should get ties to say we know everything.
Yeah, man. Check it out in the merch store.
Yes.
That's actually like the quintessential merch item for Spicy Nuggs is a tie that says we know everything, because that's this entire show is just us talking about things we don't actually know anything about.
We understand them, right?
Sorry, you're saying about something important.
I don't remember.
Straight con.
Woo. It clearly wasn't that important. The ties were. Dude, I'm stuck in the ties though.
Okay, we're about at time though.
Oh, I had so much I wanted to say still. It's alright.
Well, I mean, we got like a minute.
We'll have a part 2.
Maybe we'll have a part 2 on this. Do you have any like closing remarks on this?
The mind's weird.
The mind. It's so true.
The other thing I want to go into, but if I say one thing, I'm just gonna keep going.
It's gonna spiral.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Watch those videos. I will link to them. I'll remember. And maybe if you find like those notes or whatever, you send them to me and I'll throw them in the description or something, or you can just comment them either way. So yeah, give us your thoughts. Give them in the comments. Dab on all the haters. What else?
Maybe not that last one. Oh,
take that, Zach.
God.
You just hated on what I said, so I dabbed on the haters. And buy our merch.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, link to the merch store as well. Yeah, that'll be there as well.
need that YouTube money.
Yeah, man. Whew. It's tough for us YouTubers.
The merch is the only way we get by these days.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm still Sean.
I'm still Zach.
Bye-bye. Speaking. Everybody loves to speaking. Everybody loves to speak.
The music, like, my music was open, but nothing was playing. But yeah, the music was
It was just like, it was like such like a magical sound. It was like,
yeah. Oh, Sean, you were in one of my dreams.
Oh my gosh, tell me.
It was a really weird dream.
Is it quick? Because we're already recording.
No.
Oh.
We can talk about it next time.
Okay, cool.
It'll be, maybe.
We just teased it and it may never happen.
That's okay, too. Although, I do have something quick.
Oh, okay.
I think you'll understand if I just say one word. Bro.
Bruh. So, okay. Okay, I'm gonna ask Clay about this. Because I think this might be kind of insensitive, but I'm thinking about making a video on my personal channel where it's like one of those coming out videos, you know, that just get tons of views.
Yeah.
But it's me coming out as a dude bro.
Oh my gosh, that would be hilarious.
So it's gonna be like, all of my friends, all through high school and growing up, were nerds, and I just never felt comfortable just being able to say to them, you know, like, I am a bro. You know, I just like, and they were all chilling, and I love my friends. Don't get me wrong. Well, love is a strong. I don't want to use the word love, but I mean, bro. Sometimes just like your inwards need to be your outwards.
Can you please do this? Oh my gosh.
I mean, I want to ask Clay if it's like kosher to do that.
You know, I'm down either way. I just want to see it happen.
I'll need to like actually write a script on that one because it's gonna be more intense.
Have like dramatic music playing.
Yeah, it's gonna have like
go look out your car window.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna have to have like a bunch of shots of me doing like very dude bro things, like skateboarding and like I don't know, weightlifting.
Sean, I'm so impressed.
Just like flexing really hard, and then it's just like actually just a picture of someone else.
You get like a really tight button-up shirt and just
yeah.
flex, all the buttons go popping off.
But then just talk about like how much of a struggle it was. I have like maybe Corby there with me, and he's like playing video games, like laughing, and I'm just kind of like setting the controller down slowly.
That sounds awesome. Make it happen.
All right, cool.